Hi, it's Seth Godin, and I came to say thank you. Thank you to the hardworking interpreters, to the people who do simultaneous translation, to folks like you who have been showing up and enabling people like me to do my work around the world, but more important than that, for the audiences you serve, for the conferences you attend, for the change you're able to make. Thank you. I want to start by talking about violinists. There were a lot of violinists in the 1800s. The reason is, if you wanted to hear some music, you needed to hire a violinist. There was no stereo. There was no streaming. There was no way to listen to anything unless you paid somebody to play it for you. We all know what happened. The record player showed up and things like the record player. And the only violinists who are left are either people who play the violin because they love it, or a few people who are playing at a completely different level, who are performing in a way that hearing it live is actually better than hearing a recording. Well, we can fast forward a whole bunch of years and talk about the Milkman, because I don't know any milkmen and you might not either, because pasteurization and refrigeration and the supermarket has made it so that we don't need the milkman anymore, no matter how hard that person used to work and how much their family depended on them. So you can probably guess where I'm going, which is I don't believe your work is going to go the way of the milkman. But I do believe that AI shows up and replaces average work everywhere it goes. If you're an average copywriter, it's hard for you to find a gig, because AI can write average copy faster, cheaper, and 24/7 better than you can. That when we think about a radiologist, someone who's trained for 10 years to be able to read X-rays, that radiologist is being replaced in many corners of the world by an AI that can read a simple fracture X-ray faster and cheaper than they can. And if you're in a jam, and I hope it doesn't happen to you, and you break your wrist, you're probably going to choose the faster, cheaper, better alternative and not worry so much about that average radiologist. But what about the great radiologists? What about the X-ray technicians who bring more than just competency to the work? That is an opportunity. For many of you, it's going to feel like a threat. There are thousands of you, and there won't be thousands of you in a few years, because I've already used the tools, things like 11 Labs in one direction and all the transcribing software in the other. AI is going to get better and better and better at real-time translation, either to text or to speech in every language. It's inevitable. It's good at that, but it's not great at it. It doesn't understand local nuance. It doesn't understand how to bring in real time emotion and connection to the table. That, since this industry began almost 100 years ago, you've been pushed to head toward the center of the lane, to read it as written, to deliver something that is non-distinctive. And that is not the future. That is not the future for your industry, and is not the future for most industries. If you're playing the music as written, we've got a computer that can read it cheaper than you. If you're playing a recording just like the recording, why don't I just listen to the record and save us both time? Well, the same thing is going to happen to this idea of interpreting. Interpreting, the word itself, says that vernacular matters, idiom matters, energy matters. Being able to bring goodwill and humor and emotional connection to the table. That is why we will pick you instead of that cheaper person down the street or that computer just past that person that's cheaper and more convenient still. The slogan of the industry can be, you can pick anyone and we're anyone, that you can race to the bottom. Because the problem with a race to the bottom is you might win and have to live there, and you cannot be cheaper than an AI. The alternative is to race to the top. When we race to the top, we say, you're going to pay a lot, but you're going to get more than you pay for. That other people can do this, but when I do it in a way you will know I did it. that you will miss me if I am not here. And the interchanges I've had with people in your industry, I can testify that that can be true. It's not always true, but it can be true. That when the speaker engages with an interpreter who is bringing something extra, something local, something live, something magic to the interaction, everyone benefits. So the work ahead is not to fight AI. You cannot fight cheap and convenient, but you can dance with it. You can point out that some venues probably should pick the cheap and convenient option. But when it really matters, when the people who have come to the event came to the event for something special to happen, the incremental effort and cost of bringing a professional like you to the table is tiny. But that means we can't keep trying to fit in all the way. Fitting in all the way is difficult, if not impossible. No, the alternative is to stand out, to be the kind of person that would be missed if we are gone. I call that making a ruckus, showing up with generosity and doing it in a way that we know you were here. That is the future for this industry. Keep leading. We need you. Thanks. Go make a ruckus.